Hello everyone! So I wanted to make a video about how I came to Korea basically. The past 3 years since I've been here, I've had a couple of questions just from friends or acquaintances asking me how the heck did I move across basically the world on the other side of the world and make my way to Asia. What did I do? Any advice, companies, etc. So I thought I would put it all in one video, so if anybody asks I can just give them the link, or anybody else wants to know how to come to Korea, then you can just check it out. Okay, so first things first, I am going to be talking specifically about my situation in Korea. It might be different in other countries across Asia, I'm not exactly sure. Yeah, but just for this video, everything's going to be specifically about Korea and just my situation that I went through. If you're wanting to come to Korea, you should think about the qualifications that you have initially. So unfortunately, if you're wanting to come and teach in Korea, you have to have a bachelor's degree. So that is the first thing that is very important. If you don't have a bachelor's degree, then you cannot come and teach English in Korea. So that is the first thing. Up next, we would need to have a TESL or TEFL as well. That is a certificate for teaching second language English. I will talk about the company that I went through that helped me to get my certificate. But yes, those are the two things that you need in order to become a teacher in Korea. For first-time teachers wanting to come to Asia, I would definitely recommend going through a recruiting agency. Just for me personally, I wanted to have a recruiting agency because I felt like it was more safe. I don't know anything about the country. I don't know like which, schools are good or dodgy, I don't know. You don't know, you're going to like a different country. So for me, a recruiting agency, especially first time teachers, it's a good idea. The company that I went through is actually called TravelBud. So initially I heard about TravelBud from one of my friends who had a friend that was staying in Korea and teaching. So I decided to contact TravelBud. They have all of their information on their website if you just search it in Google. So I decided to contact them just to get some more information, just to see if they could help me out, what is this whole thing about. They were a really good company. I would definitely recommend them. So after I messaged TravelBud, we actually had an initial call together, a question call. So I sat with them and we just spoke about all the questions that I had, just everything that I needed to know. They helped me with everything. They were very quick to respond with all my questions, and yeah, they were great. After the initial phone call and the sign-up costs and everything, I got in contact with one lady who was kind of gonna take over my file, if you can say it like that. She helped me with everything that I needed to have with regards to documents and additional questions, things like that. Right off the bat, we got started with my TESL certificate, which I told you guys is the other thing that you need in order to become a teacher in Korea. They actually are connected, if you can say, with another company called Explore Asia. So yes, I have a certificate from Explore Asia, the TESL Explore Asia certificate. I think it's 120 hours certificate. I can't remember how long it took to finish. I feel like it was a month maybe. Everything was online. There was a couple other foreigners that were also in this online course with me. It was a active chat room. We got coursework that we had to go through. There was, I think, weekly assignments. We had to make lesson plans, and then our final exam was actually a Skype call. We had to simulate a classroom and create a whole lesson and teach it to what I thought was just going to be one instructor that was going to be marking me, but it actually ended up being two, which was very nerve-wracking. I was so scared. I think just because it was really awkward. You have to pretend that there's students there when there's not. but it was fine. It wasn't anything like too serious. And yeah, they gave some very good advice afterwards and just some feedback about your lesson, what you can improve on. So yeah, that was actually very helpful and very nice in the long run. So once I had my TESL certificate, actually throughout the whole process, I was busy collecting all of my 1,000,001 documents. So I'm going to be speaking specifically about South Africans, what documents we need to come to Korea, because there's a lot and it was a hassle just to say the least. I actually started getting my documents while I was busy doing my certificate because it's a lot and it takes a lot of time. So the first thing that you would need, depending on whether you're wanting to teach in a public school or in a private school. So initially I actually wanted to be in the public school system. Over here it is a system called EPIC. So you would have to start on your EPIC application form. Then with your application form you'd need your CV with preferably a cover letter. I mean, you don't have to have a cover letter, but I always think if you showing, you're putting in some extra effort, goes a long way. You also need obviously your passport and 4 professional photos. Just bring more photos. I promise you, just trust me, just get a few more than 4 photos. Then after that, you'd need your TESL certificate, which you would have been getting or which you maybe already have. And then you need 3 university transcripts. So you have to go to your university that you got your bachelor's degree from. I went to Stellenbosch and I went just to like the admin A building, and then there's like reception there, and then I just asked them about the transcripts, and then you can just pay for it at the cashier that's there. So that's what I did for Stellenbosch. You also need 2 recommendation letters as well as a health check. This was crazy for me. You need to get from your primary school and high school a letter, like a signed letter saying that when you were in school during that time that you were there, your main language you were taught in was English. So that was crazy. Finally, you need to get probably the biggest mission of everything. You have to go to your local police station and get a criminal background check. And with that, along with your degree that you got from your university, you have to send it off to somewhere that can notarize and apostle those documents, which is expensive. Let me just put that out there. So I actually, because I live in Cape Town, there wasn't anywhere in Cape Town specifically that you can actually get your documents notarized and apostilled. So I had to send it via mail to Johannesburg to like a lawyer or something, and he did everything. So you send your documents off through the mail, and then you have to wait for it to be apostilled and notarized, which takes a little bit of time. And then once that's all done, then the last thing you need is your employment contract. So hopefully after like interviews and things, then you'll get an employment contract. And that is all of the documents that you need in order to get your visa for Korea. Before we even get that contract, you have to have like interviews, right? So what I did is, after I had gotten all of those documents, or most of them, I was able to apply for the EPIC program, and then they have to have an interview with you, which is also so bloody scary. I actually had a Skype interview with I guess just one of the ladies like working with the huge EPIC company. She just asked me general questions about my application, a little bit of things about like why did I choose Korea, why do I want to like teach in Korea, yeah, just some basic questions. Yeah, it was very chilled. I was not very chilled at that time. I was so scared and nervous. She basically just asked me some questions about Korea and about myself, and then it was finished. So after that whole interview situation, and let me tell you, throughout this whole process, I'm busy going back and forth with my travel bud people. So they are literally helping me throughout this whole process. If like I have any questions, just email, message them, and then, or like your person, and then they help you immediately. So that's great. But then after my epic interview, I actually got like accepted into the program. You can actually choose on your application where you want to go teach, so like what region of Korea you want to teach in. At that time, because of the time that I applied, it was a little bit like too late. I wanted to stay in Seoul. I wanted to be around like Seoul area. It's like the main part of the country, like the big city. So they said I was accepted, but they couldn't accept me for the time frame that I was wanting to go to Korea, because at that time all the positions were already filled, because it was relatively soon. You should definitely prepare, like if you're wanting to come at a specific time, you should definitely prepare like way before, because positions like fill up like that, especially if you want to come to the like metropolitan cities or something, like the major cities. Those positions get taken real quick. I didn't want to give up hope. So instead of looking into public schools, I changed my mind and decided, let's have a look at the private schools. And everything went off to like TravelBud. Actually, they got me in contact with, it was like, I'm pretty sure they have their own recruiters that are like in Korea that work for them. I think it was like that. I can't exactly remember. I just remember the person that I worked with, his name was Hero, and he was hilarious and great. So TravelBud organized everything. They got me interviews for some private schools, which are actually called hagwons here. They got me a few interviews with some hagwons, but there was one that I specifically liked. They were in Seoul, and yeah, I guess it depends. But the actual person who interviewed me was an old teacher. So that was nice. I could ask him a couple of questions about the school, and then after that I got accepted for the job, which was great. So I got a job in Seoul, which is what I wanted, and then signed the contract, and after all that I had to send all of my documents, I'm pretty sure, to the recruiters that were in Korea, but I don't remember where I sent them to exactly. But yes, I had to send off all of my documents to the recruiters because they were sorting out my visa, and because I didn't have enough time to apply for my visa in my country, so I had to stop in Hong Kong. Wow! Which was amazing. So when I left South Africa, I went via Hong Kong to Korea. So like the first day that I landed, I had to go to the Korean embassy in Hong Kong and apply for the visa, and then once that was done, it literally just takes like one day, and then the next day pick up the visa and then get on the flight to Korea. So everything was very quick. I wasn't there for very long, but it was like a couple of hours in Hong Kong, so that's great. Can like travel to another city. After I got the visa, everything was all sorted. Flew from Hong Kong to Korea, where my very kind director and the teacher that I was replacing, they came to come pick me up and take me out for dinner and sorted me out in my new apartment and everything. It was crazy. Looking back on it, it was actually like the most exciting and just most incredible experience like I've ever been through. It was so much hassle, but in the end it was so worth it. So that is the end of this little story, how to come to Korea and all of the documents that you need from South Africa. But yeah, if you have any questions, please leave them down below. I hope this was informative. If you do come to Korea, let me know. I would love to show you around wonderful Korea. So yeah, I hope you guys have a lovely, blessed day, and I will chat to you again next time.